The movie opens with a view of the beautiful city called Adventure City. We see a junkyard with a crane operator named Hank, clearing out junk in the junkyard and listening to Adventure City radio. The radio presenter announced that Adventure City would get a good view of the meteor shower happening that night. The phone rings and Hank's assistant goes to pick up the phone. She announces the name of the company, Joe Scraps, a company that trades scraps for cash. The caller asks for Hank and the assistant says she'll get him. She calls out for Hank and informs him that he has a call. Hank comes to the phone, but the caller does not speak. He gives the phone back to the assistant, who is surprised as she just spoke to the caller. Hank tries to open the office door, but shockingly discovers that they have been locked in from the outside. His assistant sees a strange person sneaking about in the courtyard and informs Hank. They both see a small person dressed in a black costume sneaking into the crane. They discover that the thief is stealing the crane as the thief drives straight toward the welding tanks. The thief drives the crane into the welding tanks and causes an explosion. The explosion causes the junk cars in the yard to topple over themselves, causing a larger explosion. Janet, riddled with fear, picks up the phone to call the Paw Patrol to inform them that the whole place is burning down. The Paw Patrol ship leaves the docks with the leader informing the team about the fire in the scrapyard. He encourages them by saying that there is no fire too big and no pup too small. One of the pups named Sky is cleared for takeoff and flies her jet into the sky. The rest of the pups drive their various automobiles into the city. Sky uses a device on her way to scoop some water from the sea and uses the water to clear the blocked entrance to the scrapyard. Hank sees Sky and is excited that they will be saved by the Paw Patrol. Janet excitedly talks to her pet fish Bruce and tells him that he loves the Paw Patrol team. She tells Bruce that the Paw Patrol are cute little puppies who drive around in cars. Marshall, who drives the fire truck, loads up the water cannon and drives the fire truck into the scrapyard to use the cannon to pump water balls directly at the fire and put out the fire. Hank and Janet call for help from the office as the fire begins to spread toward the gas tank beside the office. The leader informs Marshall of the fire, but he discovers that there is no more water in the cannon. Sky comes to the rescue and dumps some water from her jet onto the fire. The Paw Patrol squad celebrates as Sky lands her jet in the scrapyard. One of the pups announces that Sky is his favorite pup. One of the pups tries to unlock the door and the padlock flies off and hits another pup's helmet. The pup announces that this is why he wears a hard helmet. Hank and Jane are finally rescued from the office and excitedly come out to thank the Paw Patrol squad. Janet holds on to Bruce, the pet fish, and introduces him to the Paw Patrol. Hank suggests that they take a picture of Bruce and the Paw Patrol. Janet picks up Sky, the smallest pup, and they all take a selfie together while shouting junk. Sky complains about being the smallest pup, while Chase, the police pup, discovers that Hank and Janet were locked in from the outside. Hank explains that they were locked in by the thief who stole their 10-ton electromagnet. Ryder ponders and asks who would want to steal 10-ton electromagnet. In the next scene, the thief, a woman by the name of Victoria Vance, is seen operating the electromagnet and announces that it's showtime. At the same time, Adventure City news reporter Sam Stringer reports live from the city as people gather outside the Paw Patrol to watch the largest meteor shower they have seen in over 50 years. Everyone is very excited as most of them are wearing special glasses and looking towards the sky. Inside the Paw Patrol tower, one of the pups, Liberty, looks into the sky through a telescope. He is interrupted by another pup who asks him if he has seen any meteors yet. Behind them, Chase the cop pup asks another pup Rubble if he's going to miss the meteor, and Rubble replies that he could not watch such an event without snacks. Ryder informs Chase that he has a rip in his suit. He points out that Chase is beginning to get too big for his suit. He tells all the pups that they are all growing. Sky comes to ask if she is also growing, but Ryder tells her she's not, and not to worry because all pups grow at their own speed. Sky is disappointed by this and says some pups never grow at all. The tower doorbell rings and Ryder welcomes in some younger puffballs who will be joining the junior patrol team. They say hello to the rest of the team and Ryder tells them to go check out the telescope. Out of excitement, the puffballs topple the telescope and it lands on Liberty. He tells them the telescope is really expensive and the puffballs apologize. Ryder tells them to take a look through the telescope's eyepiece and tell them what he sees. Liberty reminds them to look carefully. Liberty goes on to tell Sky that he doesn't agree with the Junior Patrol team plan, stating that the Paw Patrol is not a babysitting service. Sky tells him not to write them off just because they are small. The Junior Patrollers look through the telescope and begin to count the stars. In the next scene, Vance sets up her camera to make a video. She introduces herself to the universe and says the video she is making is proof that she is the greatest scientist in the world. She tells them not to believe the rumor that she is a mad scientist. Though she may be a scientist and mad, she is, however, not a mad scientist. Vance reveals that she has been tracking the Meteor X-2805 for the past 2 years, and reveals that it contains some kind of special power source that is stronger than anything the Earth has ever seen. She reveals her latest invention, the meteor magnet. She says that her cool magnet will pull the meteor straight from the sky and deliver it to her doorstep. She climbs into her control seat and plays some music as she powers up the machine. The machine shoots up a powerful beam that locks onto the meteor and begins to pull it toward her location. Excitedly, Vance begins to mock everyone who doubts her and calls her a mad scientist. Suddenly, the machine begins to malfunction, and Vance discovers that the meteor is too powerful for her machine. At the Paw Patrol Tower, the pups observe the meteor and discover that it is headed towards them. Ryder orders everyone out of the tower and instructs all the people gathered to watch the meteor to get inside, as the meteor is heading directly toward them. They manage to get everyone to safety as the meteor crashes and destroys the tower. Ryder asks if the pups are safe, and they all respond that they are. They discover the puffballs hiding in a dustbin. They find out that the meteor has destroyed their tower and all their vehicles. Ryder informs them that the meteor is giving off a strange energy pulse. Back on the television, news reporter Sam Stringer reports what happened with the meteor. He also announces that Victoria Vance has been arrested after a video of her confessing and claiming responsibility for the meteor incident surfaces on the internet. In the next scene, a police van wheels Vance to jail and locks her up. Frustrated, Vance is greeted by her cellmate, who has a lot of cats with him. Up next, the Paw Patrol team moves the meteor to their ship and analyzes the meteor to know what it is made of. Ryder tells them that the meteor would be left to scan overnight, so they can see what they can learn. He takes the pups to their room and puts them to bed. Sky has a little trouble getting into bed, and Ryder offers to help her. Sky refuses his help and makes it into bed herself. One of the pups complains about missing the tower and that he doesn't like sleeping in new beds. Ryder tells him not to worry, that he is probably more tired than he knows while he speaks. The pup falls asleep and snores loudly. Ryder says goodnight to the pups and tells them he will see them in the morning. Sky is awakened by a rumbling noise and flickering lights. She thinks Rumble is the one messing with the light and tells him to stop. She wakes up and finds Rumble fast asleep. She sees the glowing light and goes towards it. She discovers the meteor emitting a strange light and touches it. The meteor falls apart to her shock to reveal 7 powerful crystals. One of the crystals attaches to Sky's pup tag and grants her the ability to fly in super strength. Sky, impressed by her new powers, says that the smallest pup just became the strongest pup. Sky continues to test out her powers, but accidentally flies into the bedroom and wakes the other pups and Ryder. Ryder rushes into the room and discovers Sky floating in the air. The other pups are amazed and immediately go to check the crystals that attach to their individual pup tags, giving each of them unique abilities. Marshall gets the ability to shoot fire from his paws, while Chase gets super speed. Marshall accidentally sets a computer on fire, while Zuma, who has the ability to turn his body into water, puts out the fire. Rocky discovers his power of magnetism, while Rubble becomes a super-powered wrecking ball. Every pup gets superpowers except Liberty. She tries to figure out her power, but discovers nothing. The team decides to change their name due to their newly found powers, and Ryder decides to call the Paw Patrol the Mighty Puffs. They transform into their new super costumes and new cars as they launch individually into the city. Liberty, who doesn't have any powers, is put in charge of the Junior Patrol team. Liberty complains about his new role, but Ryder says he will be perfect and rides into the city. The Mighty Puffs are seen using their abilities to save lives and fix problems in the city. The news of their ability reaches far and wide as Sam Stringer discusses the Mighty Puffs and their new powers on the news. Vance watches the news on television and is angry because it is her meteor. Her cellmate Mayor Humdinger reveals to her that he dislikes the Paw Patrol and shares his plan to escape the jail. He shows her a tunnel he had dug under the toilet. Back at the Paw Patrol headquarters, Liberty tries to discover his powers to no avail. He gives up and decides to train the Junior Patrol team. They start by running some exercise drills, but the Junior Patrol team keeps failing the tasks. Ryder returns and asks Liberty to take it easy on them, saying the Junior Patrol team is just for fun. Liberty tells Ryder that there is nothing more fun than realizing your full potential. In the next scene, Mayor Humdinger and Vance finally make it out of the tunnel onto the streets. 2 citizens see the mayor and are shocked that he is out of jail. Vance tells the mayor that they have to keep a low profile until they get the powers back from the Paw Patrol. She devises a plan telling the mayor that they have to give the Paw Patrol the one thing they cannot resist. The mayor and Vance head to the hangar where the mayor keeps his private jet Air Humdinger. The mayor doubts Vance's ability to fly the jet, but she proves him wrong by flying the jet around the city. Vance suddenly rips open the door to the jet, which is a ploy to get the attention of the Mighty Puffs. Vance radios to the patrol tower and asks for help. The team swings into action as Sky flies into the plane and discovers Humdinger. Vance ambushes her and takes her crystal. Sky tries to fight back to no avail as Vance takes the crystal and flies out of the plane. Humdinger and his cats also jump out of the plane with parachutes, leaving Sky alone in the plane. She reports her situation to Ryder, who tells her she has to land the plane on the street. They clear a path for her as Chase uses his super fast car to mark a path along the street while closing off the road. Sky expertly flies the plane and manages to land it successfully. The team returns to the headquarters and informs Liberty that Sky's crystal has been stolen. Sky mopes alone and is comforted by Chase. Sky tells Chase that when she was born, she was the runt of the litter because she was the smallest. She tells him that she was never picked because of her size. She decided to take matters into her own hands and make her way in the snow, but it was too much for her. She was rescued by Ryder. Sky tells Chase that her superpowers did not make her feel like the smallest or the weakest in the team, and that she has to get the crystal back. Ryder informs Liberty that they have to end the Junior Patrol program. Ryder breaks the news to the Junior Patrol team, promising them to start the program again when things are safe. In the next scene, Sky apologizes to Ryder for losing the crystal. She tells him that if she wasn't so small, she would have been able to fight them. Ryder tells her that it isn't her fault and that he should not have sent her there alone. He assures her that he has been tracking the energy signature of the crystal. He tells her that he would need her to stay behind on the mission due to her lack of powers in order to keep her safe. Back at Vance's factory, the crystal gives Vance the ability to conduct electricity. Vance informs Humdinger that the problem with her machine was that it did not have enough power, but now she has enough electricity to power the machine and attract all the meteor she needs. Sky picks up the signal from her crystal and takes the crystals belonging to the other pups for her solo mission. She flies out in her jet and puts it in stealth mode to avoid being detected. Sky manages to sneak her way into Vance's factory and finds her asleep. She quietly tries to take the crystal off Vance, but Vance wakes up immediately and flies away. Sky flies after her, and they engage in a high-speed chase as Vance keeps taunting Sky for being so slow. Vance manages to trap Sky in a force field and takes her back to her factory. She collects the remaining crystals from Sky and uses them to power the electromagnetic machine. She begins to attract more meteors to Earth. Scamsai tells her to stop because she could hurt a lot of people. Vance tells her that she doesn't care about other people because they never cared about her, saying that they called her a mad scientist and made her feel small. Sly tells her that she knows how it feels to be small and seen as insignificant, saying that she has to work twice as hard to prove to everyone else that she is strong, and that's why she did all she could to get her crystal back. Humdinger approaches Vance and asks for his share of the crystals. Vance throws him one of the crystals, but it gets attached to one of Humdinger's cat's tags, giving the cat the ability to speak. Humdinger retrieves the crystal for himself, and it transforms him into a mighty giant, and he makes his way to the Paw Patrol headquarters. In the next scene, the pups discover that Sky and the other crystals are missing. Ryder discovers that the machine picked up the crystal signals and Sky must have gone after Vance on her own. They decide to go after her without using their powers, but are stopped by the giant Humdinger. Humdinger chases after the Paw Patrol as they try to avoid being crushed by him. Humdinger tries to hurt the animals in the city, but they are rescued by the Paw Patrol. Humdinger corners the team and traps them in a corner. As he tries to crush them, the Junior Patrol team comes to the rescue on a wrecking ball and distracts Humdinger. They manage to bring him down while Marshall manages to retrieve the crystal. Marshall regains his powers while giant Humdinger shrinks down to his normal size. They bind him and inform him that he is going back to jail. The rest of the team rides down to Vance's factory to rescue Sky. Vance excitedly uses the machine to draw in more meteors as Sky sulks in a corner. The doorbell rings and Vance goes to see who is at the door. She finds the 3 Junior Patrol teams who distract her by trying to sell her some cookies. The distraction works as Zuma uses the crystal and transforms it into water through the taps. Zuma finds Sky and hands the crystal to Sky, and she gets her powers back just as Vance catches them. Sky flies off and Vance goes after her. Vance tells the Paw Patrol team that only one of them has powers and that they stand no match for her. The Paw Patrol team up and switch the crystal between one another to block off Vance's attacks. Vance throws some lightning at Chase and knocks the crystal away from him. Liberty tries to save Chase, who has been thrown off a cliff, and he catches Chase just in time and discovers that he has the powers of elasticity. Vance attacks one more time as the crystal is passed to Zuma, who uses his water abilities to defeat Vance and retrieve the remaining crystals. The Paw Patrol team throws rubble into the building and destroys the electromagnetic machine. They tell Vance she's under arrest, but she tries to escape. Liberty uses his elasticity to stop her, and Vance informs them that meteors are coming down whether they like it or not. Ryder charges Sky to stop the meteors. The other pups give them their crystals to increase her powers, and they tell her that they believe in her. Sky flies towards the meteor as the rest of the team tries to evacuate the city. Sky tries to locate the meteors and finds them. She uses her jet to launch fireballs into the meteor, destroying them one after the other. While trying to destroy the meteors, one of the meteors hits her jet, and she abandons the jet. Sky flies towards the meteors and physically destroys them as her team members make attempts to evacuate the city. She manages to destroy the smaller meteors, but isn't aware of the largest one heading towards them. Ryder tells her to get to safety, but Sky tells him that she has to try. She flies towards the meteor while remembering parts of her childhood. Sky collides with the meteor and destroys it, but she gets knocked out in the process and crashes into the ocean. The rest of the team are worried about her, but then they see a beam of light in the water as Sky recovers and flies to join them. The whole city is excited and begins to praise Sky. In the closing scene, the mighty pups gather on their ship and vow to keep doing what is right and continue to keep the world safe. The end.
Yeah.